So, Michael, thank you so much for taking time to talk about the film. There's no such thing as zombies, which I think is a great title for a zombie film. Uh,
Thank you.
so, I was wondering, let's just start off. If you could tell my listeners a little bit about this film that you wrote, edited, produced, and you even got a little bit in the front of the camera there too, I think, didn't you?
Very little bit, yeah. It was just the in front of the camera thing was just a vanity thing, but yeah, the film is pretty much it's a love triangle, but in the time of a zombie outbreak, the early days of a zombie outbreak, and one of the participants, do you say participants in the love triangle is a zombie, and but it's still it's people aren't really convinced there's actually a zombie outbreak, and there are the zombie deniers, and it's like in the real world.
It is like in the real
there's,
world.
there's nothing that can't be denied, not for scientific reasons, just you can deny it anyways.
So, I was looking at this. Was this based off of the short that you had done, which was Talk of the Dead?
Yeah, Talk of the Dead. That was
Mhm.
actually that was the proof of concept for there's no such
Mm.
thing as zombies. Talk of the Dead centers more. It's pretty much it's more world building. The Talk of
Sure.
the Dead is like you really learn, like in a news show. Uh, Lynn Laurie is
Hmm.
is pretty much the evil woman who's interviewed by uh, and the interview goes horribly wrong because she says no, there is no such thing as zombies, and of course then they bring a zombie on the show, and she still says, "Ah, oh, she's just a bomb, you know, she's just a bomb. She doesn't wash, that's why she stinks."
Yeah, Lynn's bits were hilarious. There were a lot of moments that really made me laugh
Thank you.
through No Such Thing as Zombies. So what I was wondering is where the concept, because I guess you could call this a zomcom, maybe almost.
I guess, yeah, Zamram come.
But where'd the idea come from? Because I saw the dates of production and I'm like, this is eerie because this is before the pandemic, but
Yeah,
you really prophesized exactly how people would be during a pandemic.
weird enough, yeah. I mean, it was basically it was based on all the climate change deniers and
Sure.
stuff.
Hmm.
So you can just take this and put it to the other way. But yeah, then people also said, yeah, was this talking about the short which was made in 2015? They said, yeah, was this based on the Trump campaign? And I'm like, no, we have no idea that Trump ran yet.
Yeah. So
You know,
you were like a prophesizer. You saw the future because yeah.
well, yeah, actually no.
But no,
It was just it was always there. It
sure.
was always there. So I'm thinking, yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
maybe I caught up better on it, but basically it was, and it'll happen again, time and again now.
Well, it just worked out because yeah, after I got done watching it, because I usually like to go into a film cold and not
Mm,
look too much about it. Even the press, the press release that gives the summaries, I'm like,
yeah,
I want to go in just to see what I get from it,
I'm totally
if
saying, yeah.
as if I walked into the theater. And yeah, it felt eerie. And I'm like, wait, did they make this, during the pandemic or what? Because it just you nailed so much of it and
Yeah.
it was eerie. Uh so how did it come about to make it a feature film? You made the proof of concept. Did you go out and get funding or for like a campaign, or did you just do self-finance and look for backers that way?
Pretty much, I went to I mean, the short I paid from my own pocket, and
Sure.
then you go to friends and family and stuff to. collect a little bit here, a little bit there
Mhm.
until you can afford it. So yeah.
Well, it looked great, and you've got just wonderful moments in here, and a great cast. How did this cast come together? Now, I saw you work, you worked with Lyndon Lowry before with the wonderful short, which I actually got a chance to see, Ready for My Close-Up,
Yeah,
uh,
yeah.
which was great. How did you get this cast together?
Uh, actually, it was Talk of the Dead was the first time I worked with Lenore.
Mm, mhm.
So, but she just, she just was one day she was there and said, "Yeah, I want to work with you." And I'm like, "Okay, that can be arranged."
You're not going to turn that down, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, I had the concept already ready, but then I, worked her into the script. So that the whole Talk of the Dead bit of the movie was actually an afterthought.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
but it worked incredibly well because it really
Hmm.
set up the context.
It,
I
it is that a big challenge? Because you're working in indie films and you're probably working on you're going to have a limited budget, but you still want to build a world. What kind of challenges do you run into trying to build a world on a limited budget?
uh, yeah, actually not that many.
Hmm.
If you keep everything small enough to fit your budget,
Hmm.
you can go through that. You can pretty much pull it off. But yeah, it's I mean, money's always a problem, but I mean,
Right.
somehow you just have to ask yourself, what can I do?
Right.
What do I need to do, and what can I do, and how can I scale it down enough without it looking just crappy?
Well, it didn't look crappy, especially you have a DeLorean in here. You actually have a time machine in
Yes,
here. What made you want to decide to put the DeLorean in there?
actually, though, that was my director's idea. He was like, "Yeah, let's get the Back to the Future car." And I'm like, why? And he's, "No, I want it on." And I'm like, "Okay, but now I see you," because everybody's talking about the DeLorean among other things, but that really made an impact with people. I didn't actually anticipate that, but yeah,
and and you have great people driving it, including the talented Deborah Lamb
yeah.
in here for the ZIA. Uh, were, were you going for a little jab at the CIA with that one?
Uh, no, not at all
No,
yet.
no. If they're listening, no, not at all. Right.
No.
So what was it that made you mentioned the climate change? What was it the inspiration to make this though? I mean, just such a feature film because I know that it would be, a grander scale for you. Was it just the characters or what was it that sparked it that's saying, "Hey, I really want to," or did you have the full feature script done and then you just did the concept to try to for help raising money?
Yeah, I had the feature film script first,
You did. Okay.
but yeah, you know, for one, I thought back then something was still missing, and then like
Mm.
it was actually like that. Like Lynn Laurie said, "Yeah, can I want to
Sure.
work with you?" And I'm like, Lynn Laurie, who has actually acted for George Romero. Yeah, I could that could work, you know. And so I had this whole the whole TV show.
Mhm.
It was pretty much an afterthought, but a good
Sure.
afterthought.
And
And
it
so
worked in well, I think.
yeah.
Now for the casting, did you have people in mind that you wanted to work with besides, I mean, you mentioned Lynn Lowry, but that you wanted to work with, or is it a group of people you've worked with before? How did your
Uh,
casting come together?
part. Yeah, I mean the two male leads I've worked before.
Hmm.
I just wanted to work with them again, and the female lead, Luana Ribera.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, because like the original female lead, she dropped out for
Mm,
personal reasons. I know, like, and but I knew Luana a little bit,
hmm.
and I knew she was a great actress. So I just asked her, "Hey, do you want to come on board?" Yeah, yeah. Like, well, okay, that was a little bit quicker than I thought. Hey, do you want to also help me produce? Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Well, this is getting easy. Hey, you want
Yeah.
to start running down the list? Would you like to do this?
Pretty much, yeah. No. But
Uh,
yeah, I mean, we've done lots of stuff together
mm,
since, you know. But
sure.
but I mean, this was the first time we really talked about a concrete project back then. And yeah, she was like all in, and she brought the director in because the original director also dropped out. So that's like 6 weeks before you want to make a movie with Lynn Laurie, the director drops out. Great.
Oh no, really? 6 weeks? Wow. I,
But yeah, we got a
it's
great replacement, Eddie Bemicki, whom I'm working with still. So it worked out all for the best.
and I'm glad it did work out because I've heard that you're not the first person I've talked to recently, filmmaker, who said, "Yeah, I had this person drop out, and now I had to." That seems to be happening more and more.
Yeah, yeah. In a way, I don't know.
But
I had like I made it. It's still an unfinished short I have. It's called "As President to Die For." I think everybody dropped out of there from
oh,
only. The director was with me. Eddie Bemicki was with me, and Lynn Lowry and Deborah Lamb were in the film. Those two stayed on, but everybody else had to recast.
uh, that's got to be a challenge. But sometimes you luck out, right? Because then you can get talent that you might not
Exactly,
expect.
exactly. You know,
So, oh, go ahead.
you just have to roll with the punches, really. You can stay mad at somebody for ages, and just it doesn't do you any good anyway. So just go to the next person, and you don't know who you find.
And when you're wearing multiple hats like you are in limited time, and then I imagine this some of the stars you have, like Lynn Lowry, working on a short schedule, you just have to make do, right? Because
Yeah.
you can't really change anything too much because they already have
Mhm.
something else booked out.
Exactly. Now I have to fly them over. Lynn and Deborah have to fly over to England, and that costs a lot.
Can't exactly reschedule, especially if they're in demand, which they both are
Exactly.
quite busy and active
Exactly.
in the indie scene. So, this is a comedy. I enjoyed the humor quite a bit. I like a lot of British and European comedy, and it is different than Western comedy
Mhm.
approaches. But with the comedy, how much of it was it a challenge to kind of balance it to put just enough laughs in, but also still keep it to zombies? Because zombies can be funny, but can be scary. And
Yeah, yeah. That wasn't really a challenge,
Mhm.
actually. I mean, some people think, me included, think I'm okay at writing comedy, and on the other hand, I watch a lot of horror and zombie
Mhm.
movies, and so it was like it just clicked in a way.
Do you think zombies lend themselves more to being open to comedy versus, say, maybe some other monsters?
Um, I think you can do any monster as a comedy,
Hmm.
actually. You just have to find an angle to make it work.
Sure.
You have to, if you find, like with there's no such thing as zombies. You have to love triangle, and then you throw a zombie in. So something, you know you couldn't make that with Godzilla, because then it would be stupid.
Yeah,
You have to find another angle.
maybe a guy in a Godzilla suit
Yeah,
who thinks he's Godzilla. There you go. Right.
yeah. but knowing the Japanese, they probably made it already.
They probably did make it already. So with the script that you had, did you run it by a number of people? Did it go through a number of rewrites to kind of trim it down, or uh, did it,
Uh, no,
what you
not really.
no?
Not really. Well, actually, most trimming down was done during the editing process.
Mm.
'Cause I
Yeah,
think I
how long did it take you to edit it? Because I saw you're editing, producing, writing.
yeah, yeah. Editing, I'd say half a year
Mm,
probably.
wow.
The
Mhm.
the 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 rough editing, and then
Sure.
I handed it out to the sound guy, to a colorist and stuff.
Yeah.
And so post production was long and tiresome because yeah, I mean, and then we were on little money. Then the
Mhm.
pandemic struck, and everything. So it took much longer than we would have wanted. But yeah, that's that's what it is. But we
So
made it.
so did it help because you were the writer in your editing process?
I think so. Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Trim it
Because like
down?
yeah, trim it down for one, and then you are so involved with the whole thing already.
Yeah.
Then you see a scene out of context and you know exactly where it goes. So that obviously helps.
How much time did you spend on set then? Did for knowing what shots and such the director was doing? Were you pretty informed, or they keep you up to date on what was being shot?
I was there the whole time.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, I think as a producer, I pretty much have to be.
Sure.
And then I put the money. I put up the money. I collect the money, so I have every reason to be there.
You want to make sure it was being spent properly. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Not that I don't trust them, but
Right.
I love to be on set.
Hmm. Well,
So
I know some producers aren't on a set as much as others, so that's why I
yeah.
was I
Oh,
was
that's true. That's true. Yeah, but I just love working on set. So I'm every excuse I have, I go on set.
it can be an exciting time on set watching all
It
the behind the scenes stuff. Did you
is.
have
It is.
how large was your crew that you had for this? Was it just a few people in behind the camera, or did you have a larger
Yeah.
crew?
No, no, it was just a few people.
Hmm.
Really a skeleton crew because yeah, I mean we also shot at the director's apartment actually.
Sure.
The main scene because yeah, I mean, so we didn't have all that much space anyways.
Now you do have a number of locations when you're doing the ZIA commercials and the
Yeah.
promos and that. How did those come together? Were those from the shorts, or were those shot after? Because you got some locations where a guy gets hit with a car on the street, and I'm like, how did you manage all that?
Oh yeah, there was it was actually right outside the house of the leading lady, the producer.
Was
You know,
that was that like a guerrilla shoot to where you went out and set up the cameras? Okay, let's do this before the cops come.
yeah, I mean, we never had really, we we never really panicked that the cops would come because
Sure.
it was a quiet neighborhood and everybody was, even passers-by were so excited. What are you shooting? A zombie movie. Oh, really? Can I be in it? You know?
And I loved the design of the zombies in that. How did you choose your makeup artist? Was it someone you worked with before, or because the makeup on the zombies, I dug it quite a bit.
Yeah, yeah. No, I really liked it because we didn't want to him to look too overly zombie.
Right.
Just more like you know just not there anymore. But if you see like pieces of flesh falling off, then the comedy wouldn't have worked anymore. So we wanted something restrained. So and yeah,
Sure.
she did a good job. She did a good job.
Yeah, it looked really good, and it added to the comedy as well, I think, to the scenes.
Yeah.
What did you find was a scene that when you were editing that you thought when you were writing it might be a little difficult to put together, but came together fairly easy?
Ooh, frankly, you have to say next question because I don't really
Sure,
know.
no.
It's just I was in a good flow when I went editing it, but yeah,
Mhm.
it's been a few years now,
Oh,
so
so yeah, that's true. It has been a while, but I was just curious. I always like asking that question
oh
because
yeah, no,
it's
it's a good question.
it's
I'm so sorry I don't have an answer, but
no, it's it-
I've gone through this movie like probably 100 times now.
you're you're done. I've talked to some other editors where they're like, yeah, if I don't watch that movie again, they're like, no, I love it, but I've just watched it so many times.
Well, I still like it, after that many times, and I'll probably watch it a few more times, I have to
Sure.
admit.
Is that how is that watching something you create in the theater, in front of an audience that first time? What's that feeling like for you?
That's pretty amazing.
Hmm.
It's just, because I mean, you've worked on it, but it was only on your computer screen,
Sure.
and suddenly it's like thrown onto this big wall, and there are people you don't know, and and the best is when they laugh at the right moment.
You get that moment where they don't laugh and you were hoping for a laugh, and then you start questioning things.
Yeah, you have that a lot actually. You know,
Yeah.
you know, because everyone responds differently to everything. So
Hmm.
so I'm like, yeah, I mean, you can't make all people laugh all the time,
Right. Well,
but
and comedy always seems to be one of the biggest challenges because everybody has different tastes in what they find funny.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
And
And you know, but you just have to accept that. So
so do you put in the jokes that you find funny? Were there, any moments where you questioned, like you were writing something, you're like, maybe I shouldn't put that in, or I shouldn't go to this direction? Or do you just
oh yeah.
go with the flow and say, if they don't like it, oh well.
No, you're pretty much self-censoring yourself.
Hmm.
Well, I do, I mean, first you write and go with the flow, but then you go through it, and then you see, that might not work, that might be too much, that might,
Hmm.
that would just be funny if John Cleese said it. That's always my thing.
Oh, John
Would
Cleese.
it be funny, or would it be funny if John Cleese said it? So, and if it's the second you put,
My friend and I were talking about Python, and the other day, and how John Cleese's comment about how he made a sarcastic comment, and someone took it out of context, and the internet blew up saying, "Oh, Monty Python hated each other," and and I'm
oh
like,
yeah, that I know.
You guys didn't pick up on sarcasm, did you? This is John
Exactly,
Cleese.
exactly.
So was Python, what were your influences for comedy? Was Python one of them?
Oh, definitely,
Mhm.
yeah. I love Python, and other things that were, influences. I would say the Marx Brothers,
Oh yeah.
and let's see. I even like the silent Buster Keaton films. I like very much,
Oh,
though. You don't really see that in the movie because Buster
right.
Keaton's very physical, and there are not that many physical comedians out there anymore. So
Yeah, now that you mention it, I think there aren't many physical comedians. I would say maybe, Jim Carrey and, the late Chris Farley were kind of the last of the really physical comedians out there.
yeah, and even they were toned down in comparison to Buster Keaton.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a few more regulations and rules and
Oh
such now
yeah, no,
too.
no, Buster Keaton couldn't make the movies he made anymore. No way.
So we're gonna have our main character stand right here, and it's okay. This wall's gonna fall on top of him, but it's okay. There's this small window. It'll land right where he's at.
Yeah,
Don't worry. No.
yeah.
Yeah, those old movies. And you mentioned Marx Brothers. It's art of language was really big with those comedies. You get,
Mhm,
the Marx Brothers and Abbott and Costello and all of them, or even Monty Python playing on words. And that,
mhm.
I think there's a lot of comedy just in dialogue, which you have here, a lot of comedic dialogue. Did you read when you were writing it, were you reading out the lines yourself, kind of pick up of how the banter would go between the two characters? Because
Oh
it
yeah,
it
yeah, yeah,
fires off pretty quick between them.
yeah, yeah. No, I always, not necessarily aloud, but in my head, I always have this. It's kind of as if the characters just started talking. I know that sounds very schizophrenic or whatever, but if you're onto something and then suddenly it just writes itself because
Mhm.
the characters just start talking. You just then you would say that, and you know you already got what you want.
What would you?
Hopefully good.
Yeah, hopefully good. You're laughing about it, and well, that's all that matters, right? Is if you laugh
Exactly.
for it,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you're like, well, I find it funny.
Hmm. Exactly.
Well, fortunately, other people seem to have found your films funny, especially there's no such thing as zombies, which I do love that title too. I just
Thanks. Yeah.
that's very fitting for it,
Mm.
as well. And with that comedic writing that you have in here, do you have a favorite comedy writer? You mentioned artists as far as performers, but do you have a good comedy writer?
Oh no, no, I can't think of anyone in
Hmm.
particular. It's mostly it's always the package.
It's
If if like with the Marx Brothers,
Mhm.
they had I don't know how many writers they had or stuff, but they work for what they do,
Right.
and so or like Monty Python, they wrote their I think they always wrote their sketches in twos or
Yeah.
something, and so yeah, but they knew they
Mhm.
already knew the performance and
They knew who they were writing it for and who
exactly.
the chemistry that was there.
Mm,
Yeah, I
absolutely.
uh I always am amazed. I always enjoy, you always know it's a good comedy when you just think about it and you laugh, right?
Mm, mm,
Do you have
exactly.
a favorite comedic movie of yours or comedic horror movie?
Uh, the old James Whale from the old Dark House?
Oh yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's been a while since I've seen it, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
familiar
no,
with
I
it.
mean,
Yeah.
in terms of horror comedy, that one and two other James Whales with Bride of Frankenstein is pretty
Mm.
funny, actually. And then also The Invisible Man.
Oh yeah.
Those, those are actually funny movies.
They work humor into the horror
Mhm,
and
exactly.
and when I watch those classic movies, I always try to think of how that would be like in an audience back then. Because I mean, now we're definitely a different culture, but seeing something like The Invisible Man or even The Wolf Man back then, that had to be wild, I would think.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, back when the audiences weren't used to that, anyways. Nowadays we've got more I don't know more werewolf movies than you can throw a stick at, but back when,
Not as many as zombie and vampire movies, though. I think zombie
oh,
and
that's true.
vampires went out,
That's true. That's
went out
absolutely true.
over Wolfmen. And that's not bad. I think there's, always something with it. As much as there are out there zombie movies and vampire movies and that, there's still, I think, stories to be told in those
Oh,
genres.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I mean, you just I mean, especially with the zombie movies, you got one. There's pretty much too many zombie movies are about the same thing, you know.
Hmm.
But you can always try to think outside the box.
Hmm. Yeah, I remember the one Fido with zombie movie. I don't know if you've seen that one. It was a zombie
I haven't seen
comedy.
it. I've heard about it. It's supposed to be pretty good, right?
It's hilarious. It's like taking the 50s lifestyle with the Art Deco and the
Mm.
Barbara Billingsley type
Oh,
of
cool.
world, but there's zombies, but zombies have
Mhm.
become the norm, and it's quite
Wow.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Billy Conley is wonderful in it. I've always loved Billy Conley's
Mm.
comedic style. He is quite funny, I think.
Mhm. I have
But
to watch that.
yeah, I would recommend it if you get an opportunity. I know you're quite busy, but uh yeah, if you get an opportunity, I think you'd enjoy it
Mm.
because it reminded me a little bit of there's no such thing as zombies. Reminded me a little bit of it to where you were
Okay.
getting this world of where zombies exist. Everybody
Mhm.
knows they exist. You know, you've got an organization now that's handling it, the ZIA. And you know, I think those are interesting explorations to where the zombieism has become normalized.
Mhm. Mhm.
I
Mhm.
think I think there's a lot to be explored there. But so what's next on your doc? What do you got working in the works?
It's a good question. Because like I mean, at the moment we're like, of course, we're always looking for money, you know.
Well, yeah.
But we've got the two things we have on our at the top of our agendas. That's what
Sure,
I wanted to
sure,
say.
sure.
Is like a cop drama and then a ghost comedy,
Oh, fun.
or rather ghost hunter comedy. I'd leave it open if there are actually ghosts in there.
I enjoy those ghost hunter comedies because I mean, you know, I do I have had some unexplained things happen in my lifetime, but I always find the Ghost Hunter shows like they always seem to be played up too much.
Oh yeah, 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 totally.
I mean, I know it makes for interesting television, but I just chuckle when they're like, "I think I saw a book move. Let's go!" and they start running down the hallway,
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's often hilarious.
and you're like, you're like, should I be laughing at this? I don't know.
Yeah,
Am I
yeah,
supposed to be
yeah.
serious?
And often it's like nobody's looking for another explanation, even though the explanation is right in front of them. Oh
So
my
that,
God, the daughter's closed. Yes, it was a draft. It's drafty.
there's no windows.
It's a draft.
There's no windows in this place. Of course, there's a draft. It's cold because the furnace was turned off. What are you talking about? Well, definitely looking forward to that. And as you can tell, I'm a physical media lover. Is no there's no such thing as zombies? Is that out on physical media yet, or is it just streaming? Or
God, yeah, it's just streaming. I would love, but obviously, I too like physical.
I was admiring your shelf in the back there. I was like,
Yeah, yeah, but that's only a small part. So,
I'm like, I gotta up my game. Uh, because this I've only got filled both sides here, though I do have a lot of VHS over on the left here, so there
yeah,
is that as well. I speaking of physical media, I think there's still a place for it. What do you feel? How do you feel about a lot of these, movies and that going to streaming, and that's the only place they're at?
yeah, that's a problem. I think because like if a streamer then decides, yeah, we don't want to stream that movie anymore, then that's it for the movie. Because other than in illegal channels, you just don't get it anymore. So I'm like, that's a little bit.
It,
I
it,
mean, in a way, I understand that streaming is a good thing, but
mhm.
only to a point. Because like at the same time the legacy gets lost.
Right. And some of those older films, I mean, we're covering them now on on our podcast. We're doing a series where we're looking at pre-code films.
Oh,
Uh
nice.
and you know, we've covered a couple, and I put my list together for the year. We're looking at one pre-code film a month at least. And finding some of these is really hard, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Y- You know, and they sound interesting films, but you're like, well, where can I get that? And you're like, nowhere.
Exactly, exactly. It's it can be disheartening, you know.
It, it is, because I think there's, you know, artistry in those older
Mm.
films that were missed. Similar indie spirit with some of the older films, because there were a lot of them were working on small budgets.
Oh yeah.
You know, theaters were like, you want to make what? Well, I want to make a movie about a big ape, and I'm going to have it move, and it attacks New York. And you're like, wait, what? How are you going to do that? So, you know, and then you look at Psycho. I mean, Psycho is a classic for many reasons, but that's pretty much an indie film, I think.
Actually, yeah, it was because yeah, they wanted Hitchcock to just make these big movies that he made, like I don't know, North by Northwest,
Hmm.
uh, The Man Who Knew Too Much,
Right.
but then they said, no, we won't let you do Psycho, and Hitchcock said, okay, then I do it with my TV crew,
Yeah,
and
and
now it's probably the best Hitchcock movie.
it is. I've watched some of his earlier stuff, like was it the is it the missing woman or the missing girl? I forgot what it was. The vanishing girl.
Uh,
It was early Alfred Hitchcock involving a train and a woman going missing. I forgot the name offhand. Oh, I failed. But it's wonderful. But watching his early stuff, you can see his style even back then.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
You know, and so I think if we lose these older films, you're losing where you're seeing where these classic directors came from, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. No, it's like really, how even how genres, grew, out of nothing in parts,
There's a
And
couple of silent horror films that are really creepy.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. They had it back then, and I mean nowadays many horror films. Well, I'm talking about big budget horror
Sure.
films now are like just CGI effects, and they look good, but they don't do anything to me because I know if you put stop to the computer, suddenly everybody's in front of a green screen.
Yeah, I mean, and there's a place for that, but it's always fun to see those old films and see what they did,
Mhm.
considering no one had done stuff like that before. Watching
Exactly.
them
Yeah.
figure it out is exciting,
Mhm.
I think.
Mhm. I agree with you there. Yeah.
You know,
'Cause-
I was talking to some friends, and I was like, you know, if you look at the core technique of filmmaking, it actually hasn't changed in 100 years, has it? The,
Yeah.
I mean, this how you go about it, but techniques like, you know, with King Kong, you had a rear projection that they did where they're walking in the woods in front of a screen that has the foliage, and
Yeah.
now they're filming things that have LCD screens behind them showing the
Yeah, no,
environments.
it's pretty much, yeah. It's the technique, the technology. Sorry, not technique.
Right.
The technology has moved on, but the technique is basically the same.
Yeah, you're
And
framing shots like they did 100 years ago, right?
mhm, mhm. I
In
mean,
some
yeah,
respects.
that also, it was years before they actually learned to do a pan or something,
Right.
so it wasn't all there from the beginning because the cameras was a cumbersome. You couldn't do a pan.
The cameras, yeah, were huge. And
Absolutely.
I mean, you even ran into that even into the 70s and 80s, those still big cameras. I just
Yeah.
saw Dune, the 40th anniversary edition, David Lynch's
Oh, that's a
Dune.
great film.
And I enjoy it. So many people say it's awful, and I love it.
I
I
love it.
love,
Yeah, yeah,
the ambition of them in 80, was it 84, trying to do something like that was crazy. And
exactly. Yeah. And then letting David Lynch do it.
and then, dude, like, we'll give it to this guy, and everybody's like, wait, are you sure that guy? But the visuals, which, I mean, movies are visual art, are just
Mhm.
looked fantastic on the screen.
Oh,
And
absolutely, absolutely.
and they showed the techniques of what they did with forced perspective, of how he had a
Mhm.
wall really close and had them down there, but it looked like all, I just find all that, the filmmaking process, fascinating.
It
Uh,
is. Yeah,
you know,
yeah, absolutely.
even
I
even
agree with
with
that.
even when it comes to indie films, I always find it interesting of what it, how they come together. And
Yeah, and I
you
mean, it is a bit of a struggle because I mean, I could write a big budget movie, but then I would know nobody will do it. But maybe I strike like 20 years from now. Okay, that might happen. But uh, uh, if you want to make a movie, you just write to the budget you might
sure.
be able
Hmm.
to to get. So it's always a challenge. But on the other hand, it is a good challenge in a way, because
Well,
like it isn't so much limiting, but
mhm.
it's more uh, it has
Inventive.
your creative juices
Mhm.
going.
More inventive. uh
Exactly.
it's one of those things where, when you only have a limited budget, you can't just say, well, we'll just do another take. We'll just do another take. You're like on a
Mhm.
time crunch. And so,
Yeah.
I think that's where technology has kind of hurt filmmaking, in that the digital has made it so easy for filmmakers now that, at least for like the big budget stuff, that you could like make changes to your film a week before it's released.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I mean,
Whereas you mentioned you worked 6 months on post-production
mhm.
and getting it to people, and the people involved, I'm sure, moved on to other things. So if you wanted to do a reshoot, well, good luck, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. I mean, first of all, reshoots cost money.
Right. Hmm.
That's the thing, and then it's not that easy if you're on a budget, and then everybody lives all around the place. Like Lynn and Deborah come from America.
Sure.
Uh, we shot the main piece of the movie in London, but
Hmm.
I'm from Austria. Uh,
And
the director back then lived in London. He doesn't live in London anymore. That apartment is gone. I think when I finished editing, he has already moved from that apartment.
sure.
So no
Well,
research.
you could just knock on their door and say, "Hey, could we're a film crew. We
Yeah.
Well, Michael, do you have any advice for anyone out there wanting to get into indie filmmaking? You've mentioned, finance is usually one of the biggest challenges, but do you have any advice for anyone out there who wants to make or produce a film?
Well, basically, write what you can film.
Mhm.
You know, because like I mean, as I said before, if you write a 200 million blockbuster, good luck. You'll need it. But you can do other things. I had my very first movie that actually got a DVD release. It was called, and I got it here for some reason, A Killer Conversation.
Oh, nice. Oh, I love the poster too. I like that
Yeah,
art.
yeah. No, it's just three people in a room talking
Hmm.
because it's a comedy, so
Sure.
it's got a laugh. But yeah, because like I wrote this and I knew that's something that can be done easily.
Right.
And back when we filmed it in 3 days, full
Hmm.
feature film. That was a bit of work.
That's a short shooting schedule.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. We pretty much went through 25 pages every day.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, it's a feature film, you know.
Yeah. That is really hustling.
It was, but it was a great experience.
And I'm sure you learn a lot, and then you just carry that experience to your next
Oh
film,
yeah,
right?
totally, totally. Yeah, no, it was. I mean, I only wrote that, and but yeah, everybody wanted me to be on set, so it was like, okay, okay,
Well, that's handy in case you need a rewrite or something. You could help handle that,
exactly. Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, we pushed through it, so
And yeah, I like that because a lot of people try to write the big budget features, they send it to studios, and it makes me wonder how many scripts are sitting on some producer's desk collecting dust that could be the
yeah,
next big thing, but they probably get so many that it's
exactly,
like
exactly.
it
I mean, many producers got their own readers,
sure.
and but yeah, I mean, those are lowly paid people who, and the producer just, yeah, find me everything. I don't know, find me a zombie movie. So
Sure.
so they read through it's not a zombie. Okay,
Well, I look forward to your next projects.
well,
This has
thank
been a
you.
wonderful conversation, Michael. I
Yeah,
appreciate
I had a
it.
great time as well. Thank you.
And where can they find you at? Where can they keep up to date at all? Do you have a social media or link or website or anything?
Oh yeah, I mean, social media is Facebook, Michael Haberfelner writer. That's yeah, that's my author page pretty much.
Sure. Okay.
And yeah, or just befriend me on Facebook. Though I got I'm reaching my limit. So
You're becoming very popular.
anyway, and yeah, there's a website where I do film reviews. Searchmytrash.com.
Uh, Awesome.
And
Yeah, it's a great site. I've read many of
oh,
your
thank you,
reviews on there, and
thank you, thank you.
when
Yeah,
I'm reading the reviews, I'm like, he's got the same taste in films as I do. So
might be. Yeah,
indie
brilliant.
films, I think, is where a lot of creativity is. So it's great that you're getting
Yeah,
word
these
out there and
days,
reviewing them.
these days definitely, because like, yeah, I mean, big budget Hollywood that doesn't speak to everybody.
Yeah,
And I mean, it's also geared to the smallest common denominator, and so you get, but you don't get much creativity when you get that much money.
right.
You're you're bound by that money to get a return on investment. So you know that's why they probably won't hire David Lynch to do another Dune.
Probably, probably not. No, but indie films, I mean, you watch a lot of them,
Mm,
and you always find that gem. I mean,
exactly.
there is a lot more out there though, because everybody has a camera like right here, right? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, thank you very much. I'll put links to all your stuff in the body of this podcast, and yeah, hopefully we get a chance to talk again.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Yeah, I had a great time.
Fantastic. So
Really.
check it out, folks. There's no such thing as zombies is on streaming, and search my trash for the gentleman who writes far better reviews than I do. But
But thank you anyways.
there's some wonderful reviews there as well that you should check out, and you'll find your indie gem there. I guarantee it. So
That's for sure. Yeah.